the Dean of the New Media Art Department at Polish Japanese, Professor Ewa Satalecka, graphic designer, is with us today. Hello, thank you very, very much for your time, for agreeing for an interview with us. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much for this distinguished invitation. It's a great pleasure to be with you and to answer your questions, Dmitry.
I would like to start by asking about your professional background as a designer. How did you start?
Okay, so I finished Fine Art Academy in Katowice in 80s, and then because it was the period of transformation in Poland and perhaps in Central Europe, I got opportunity to work for one of the first print shops in Katowice, which were private. So during my study, I worked on intaglio printing as well as on typography a bit. And my final work was on the art book design. Mm-hmm. So print shop was a great opportunity to work for. However, on the end of 90s, it bankrupted and I stayed with almost nothing. However, one of teacher of mine, he proposed me to work for the international school in Bielsko-Biała for English program launched in Bielsko by Wrexham University, and he asked me to teach candidates for animation on typography. And my adventure with the higher education started on the beginning of the 21st century. And then they pushed me to make a doctorate, and after that habilitation, which wasn't a bit strange, but a funny experience for myself. Because of the former work in the print shop, I got a connection with plenty of cultural institutions. So I worked for theaters also. And the theater became my great love. The director of the theater in Katowice invited me to design the stage setting for Cave. They made the cave ballads of lovers and murders. I didn't like the music very much. However, the idea was great, and they asked me because of my awful drawings. My drawings are really, really awful, and they wished to have something like that. So it started, and then I came to what was my deep interest, typography, and I offered them to motion typography for some performances, and it was amazing.
Very rich background. And going later on, how did you end up at Polish Japanese Academy?
Reviewer of my doctoral thesis, Professor Nowiński, who was a former dean of the department, knowing my motion typography experience, invited me here to present for the students. And students asked him to commission me for classes. And then he offered me a job. So I was happy and a bit surprised and thankful for that. And I started to work with the New Media Art Department and with students. We launched the Motion Typography Festival, which is now Motif, very international. We worked with German schools and Irish. We opened it very, very internationally. So even during pandemia, we organized it with New Zealand, and it is still continuing. Thanks of the students' engagement, we got some great exhibitions, presentations in the Gutenberg Museum, in Lexicon Museum in Dublin, and also in Wellington University Art Gallery. it was a great pleasure to create this program and to work together.
It is amazing how much project students with you were able to establish and international projects, which makes them even more serious. And with this, I want to ask about New Media Art Department, maybe a bit more specifically even English path, because it is as well really heavily relying on international projects, working with international professionals.
I started work in Polish-Japanese Academy around 2007. And after 5 years, Professor Nowinski said that maybe I could start with the international program in English. It happened after plenty of visits of designers, teachers, and people whom we invited from abroad to come and to lead the workshops. And based on this experience of the international workshops and Erasmus, which was very helpful, we decided to open this English language program. And it started with 16 people.
Wow.
Who decided to come into the English language education on design as a useful, because to be honest, the design field is completely occupied by English language speakers who communicate around the globe. So they started, and after almost, let's say, 10 years, we have now around 70 people studying in each year. So
this is a huge,
yes.
huge growth.
Yes.
For the path, yeah.
Yes.
I'm wondering, because we know that New Media Arts Department for English, the graphic design becomes the new faculty, graphic design, multimedia design. Could you say a little bit about why it is evolving and how it is evolving?
Yes, because of this wheel of invitation of the visitors from abroad, we structured the program on a bit another way than it is for graphic. So we organize it based on the 10 regular weeks of classes plus 4 weeks which are specially dedicated for workshops.
Yes.
And it worked as a separate specialization. But with the changes in the education system, this is not allowed to be organized like that anymore, because we should keep the same program for English and Polish tracks if they are on the same curriculum.
This is
so,
interesting. Yeah.
Yes, finding the workshops as a very valuable and then rich in various experiences for students, we decided to open new program which we could do because we were very positively evaluated by the government and the National Committee of Evaluation. And then after the discussion with the authorities of the school, we structured the new program. We also included all of the suggestions of the students, making it maybe closer to the European program structures, which means that on the third year we focus only on the final thesis, and also on the MA level we introduce an innovative system which is 3 semester, 90 ECTS, and intensive international collaboration.
This sounds really fun, and it sounds very fresh, something that would be happening in as a new program. Sounds like a new program. And if I understand correctly, with the new department, there are more opportunities for people who are interested in such new medias as video games.
Yes, we have fantastic young teacher, Benjamin Hanusek, who is completely crazy about games, and he supports young creators in their researches as well as an aesthetic of games production. And I think maybe he is still in Krakow, because I am not sure if it is finished or not yet, but he went with one of the students for the conference and fair of the games, because the student Timek, he won a kind of prize for his game. Yeah.
That is really, really great, and I'm personally really excited. I am interested in a lot of things, games as well, so it is great that we have such opportunities and we're going in such direction. About the courses on the new media arts, I would like to know which are your favorite subjects, if there are.
You know, obviously I am obsessed with the text-based communication, so text is a great inspiration for myself, because I'm grown during the epoch of reading and also listening the novels on the radio, and also adaptation for multimedia. So yes, definitely text-based communication, narration, which based on the text, storytelling. This is what I really, really like. But it happened also in animation, in games, so there are various media you can use to deliver stories.
Yes, storytelling is a huge part of a lot of the subjects, actually, in very different ways. And the process of starting at storyboarding, writing the scenario, to collaborating with other people and making huge projects, this is like a whole system that we get to practice a lot once and again, which is, I think, is really helpful for us.
Yeah, and then narrations, they help us to communicate very much, and then sometimes to convince people that what we wish to do is valuable, and then we can use this as well, games as animations and various forms of narration, maybe for change and making communication better. Sometimes stories make us more empathic, and then when we are more empathic, we can understand the others and their position and start to talk.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And this reminds me of that within the subject of typography, which is also a big part of multiple subjects, it's involving so much with the usage of new means of media, with AR, VR, 3D. I think this is and you as a person who loves typography, how do you see, do you like the changes in how people can use typography?
Very much. I am really deeply jealous that I can't study again. So one of the PhD candidate who works under my supervision, she presented on the opening of this year Global Typography Congress. It is something, you know, I'm just proud of her. And then the other who finished our school, she turned to the interactive installations, and she also got this presentation on the International Global Congress of Typography. She worked with composers, and her asemic writings is interactive, which is fantastic because she can present emotions, and the other people, alumni, sometimes they also bring me a great pleasure and proud. One of them started with variable fonts, and he's recognizable font designer. His experience started with this first group of the students in English language track, yes, and he worked together with Martin Mayer to learn about the typeface design and things like that. Next, he moved to the new technologies when we we, as the school, organized ATPI Congress in Poland, in Warsaw. He was one of the activists, and during this Congress, the new technology of variable fonts was introduced. And then he started with that. He's now very successful. And the other, she's interested in hand tool-based typography. She and him, they both were prized with the Type Directors Club scholarships for continuation of their study. So we work also with this kind of institutions, like a Type Directors Club in New York. Work which was done under my supervision, Gyubal Vahazar, the book made by students, was prized with this certificate of excellence by Type Directors Club.
This is really
so
great.
you know, this is really great when you work with young people and you see that they are visible not only in the area of our school, but on the international stage of design. You are happy.
This is most definitely something to be happy about. And a very important segment which I want to talk about is, as we are now in the moment where the recruitment is open, for any candidates who would love to be on New Media Art Department, what suggestions would you give?
So all of the information about the requirements, they are published on the web page. You can pass by this, and if you have any questions, you can ask recruitment office or secretary office of the department. We offer consultations. We guide people through the process with pleasure. Portfolio is necessary. So in the portfolio there should be examples of your experience with drawing, color, and the design.
5 works, 5 still lifes in pencil, 5 still lifes in paint, then 5 landscapes in paint, then 5 human figures in pencil charcoal, and 10 photographs.
And
personal works.
Depending on the program, Polish or English language, you should also express your ability in communication in the language which you choose.
And this is done via the interview that is conducted.
Yes, exactly. And the interview is not only for checking your language abilities, but also it helps us to understand you, your needs, and then to advise you how you can organize your process of study.
And well, what personal advice from you would you give to people who would like to join?
Do not afraid. If you really wish to learn in this school, and if you really love what you do, we will help you to achieve appropriate level to be professional.
That's great. I really hope that people will find some of the information useful from this. And when it comes to the workshops, which are a huge part of our discussion, we have to talk about this. How have they been? How have they started from the beginning? What was the initial push that made them happen? And how do you feel about the workshops these days?
When I started with this school in Bielsko, I've got the internship and I spent a few weeks in Wrexham learning about the structure of British education and British curriculum for designers. And then I recognized that this kind of exchange is very valuable. Being asked for teaching, I went to Wolfgang Weingart to Basel. I went to some schools in Germany and Great Britain to learn how they organize educational process. And I recognized it is very important to exchange. because Erasmus opened this opportunity for teachers and for students, I decided to invite as many teachers as possible to stay not only for 8 hours of lecturing, but to work with our students. Because if you teach in English, the English is a bit another in Greek interpretation, in Finnish interpretation, in original English or USA English. So we thought that more teachers from various countries, more experience, and the first feedback from the alumni of the first set of English language program was like, you know, the greatest value of my experience is that I'm not afraid to talk with anybody about my work, my portfolio, and my professional experience. I'm ready to go anywhere, and I am absolutely free. So it was...
This is a very valuable experience for any professional, not even in art field, to be able to talk about your work with anyone.
Because during the study, somewhere in the background, you learn not only about the design, but generally about the communication and creation of your position. And then you know that you can be absolutely free in conversation with anyone with whom you wish to talk, because you are equipped with appropriate tools to do it.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And I think one great thing about the English path of New Media Art is how diverse the groups of students are, how different backgrounds and from different places people come to study here. So this is a great thing about.
Yes, obviously we have students who are from Western European countries. They are coming for Erasmus exchange. So almost whole Europe is visible in this school, represented by single students who are coming from Spain, Portugal, Germany, and other countries. And we have people who decide to learn with us for a long time, which are from, the most of them, they are from the neighbor countries like Ukraine, Belarus. We also have some Russian students. We have students from Kazakhstan, Armenia. We have students from India, Korea, some from Turkey, from Iran, from Chile even. So this is a very, very rich community. And when we work together, we work for the global communication, global effort for integration, and then work for planet as a planet for human being and for life, not only for us as the human being. And I think it will bring positive result in a global scale. Even it is like a small seed, it will grow.
I love that you called everybody here like a community, because it does feel like it. Well, a lot of time it does feel like a community, a very close one. I would like to also, because we were mentioned Erasmus quite a few times, could you say just a few words about what it is for people who maybe would be interested if they knew what Erasmus is?
Okay. So this is the European Committee program for higher education, not only, but I will focus on higher education for exchange of teachers and students, for supporting international projects among the academias. And the projects might be long-term and short-term regular exchanges. In example, at the moment we are in 2 blended intensive projects which are organized together with one with Austrian, Greek, Portuguese and us. And the second one is with Belgium and Portuguese and our school. The first one is paid for performing in the public spaces and based on new technologies, including AI. And the second one is on screen reading, so the modern interpretation of text on the screen, which means not only mobiles or computers, but also augmentation, VR, and the other forms of visual representation. Why it is so important for students? Because we can move students from our place to all of the partners' countries. And students are given this experience of work locally and abroad in the international teams. So
this is this is a huge and this is a great experience to learn about different cultures and different work environments.
Absolutely, and it wouldn't be possible without support of European Union and Erasmus. So this is a great support. Next example, we are thinking about the joint international program. So there is also opportunity from Erasmus to make a pilot programs like that and to support them, which is very valuable, I think. And we are not only in Erasmus, we are also in ILIA. ILIA is the organization of the European art schools, and we not only belong to this organization, we are really active because one of our teachers, Anna Eichler, professor on the basic education, she is a member of the board of this organization. So we somehow shape the directions of the education on art in Europe.
This is great. Thank you very much for giving such a long answers to the complicated questions. Would you like to say any closing words about the department, the faculty, about your work here at the university?
I love work here, really. It means a lot. You know, work takes us a lot of time in life. And then when you lead team of people, you are perhaps active during the whole day and night if necessary. This is my great pleasure and also great opportunity for myself that the authorities of the school and especially rector of the school, who is mathematician, but he is very open mind person, decided to commission me for this position. I'm happy with all of the faculty. They are great people. Artists usually are great people. They are very sensitive. They are also very empathetic. And then work with these people in such a beautiful place and then such supporting place, it's a great pleasure and distinction for myself. So I am very happy.
Thank you very much for doing it with us. Thank you.
Thank you.